Welcome, everybody, to another podcast, The Life Between All or Nothing. I'm Scott J.
And I'm Mary Kay.
And we're here to talk about the life that you live every day that's between everything you want and having nothing at all. That's where life exists. It's kind of in that middle area. And we like to talk about that. We talk about happiness, finding your authentic self, and making changes in your life. And Mary Kay, just answer one question. Is it ever too late to change your life?
Oh, it's never too late to change your life. As long as you're living, it's never too
If
late.
you're still breathing, you should still be learning. And if you're still learning, it means there's room to
Yeah.
improve, to change, and to grow. Judy's already with us saying, Happy Thursday. Happy
Ah,
Thursday, Judy. And
happy
I know you were,
Thursday, Judy. It was nice. I was chatting with her. Yeah, it was awesome to meet her on Messenger.
yeah,
Beautiful to see
Judy
you
and
there.
I,
Thank you.
Judy's been following a couple other of my shows. And I've had the pleasure of running into her a few times at a couple different shows and different venues. And she's just an absolute joy. And we're glad to have her and everybody else who joins in. Karen is with us.
Hi, Karen.
My friend, my business partner. We spent the whole day training a room full of I think 30 police officers, and yeah, Karen and I were the only two people in this entire building that did not have guns on us. And
Oh my God.
the funny thing, all I could think is, I am in the safest building in Florida right now. There is no
Yeah.
place safer. And we had a really good time. And as always, we want to send our thank you to first responders, police, fire, doctors, nurses, military, EMTs, paramedics, all first responders out there for the great job you do every day. We appreciate you. We thank you. And meeting some of these police officers today was a reminder of what great human beings they are. They're fantastic people. So
Oh yeah.
our
Yeah.
thanks to
We're
all of you.
grateful.
You
Yeah.
you got great people up there that deal with even things that we don't deal with down here, as far as like wilderness and different things as well, too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We've got and very remote areas as well. So not just wilderness, but very remote areas, and they walk into danger every day, sometimes on their own. And it's yeah. Thank you to all
Yeah,
of them.
absolutely. Sandy's with us, is also known as Mom, is with us. Hi guys, hi
Sandy
Mom,
Mom.
and so everybody out there. Um, it seems like we go into each week and we start a topic, and in 1 hour we barely scratch surface. And last week we started talking really more in depth about happiness, and we just barely scratched the surface on that. Um, what did that leave you with last week, and where are we going with it this week, Mary Kay?
You cut out for a second. All I heard is, where did that leave you with? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You cut out.
Where are we going to go with that this week? What is our idea this week to talk about?
Oh, so I think today we'll continue with figuring out, talking about things that make us happy and ways that our audience can find what makes them happy, or additional things that make them happy. And we'll talk about the benefits of, why is this important to know what makes you happy and to be happy and function happily. A couple of exercises. We'll go through a couple of exercises as well. And I'm sure that'll take us to the hour.
You know what? I have absolutely no doubt. And of course, we always invite your questions, your comments, anything that you'd like to share with us. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, just put it in your comment section and we will get it. It'll pop up. But once again, we're going to be talking about happiness. And one of the things I really want to point out is that happiness is something that's about our discovery of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
People travel all over the world looking for happiness. They try to do a million different things for happiness. And really, the real journey is learning about yourself. I can't look at somebody else and say, if that makes them happy, it'll make me happy, because everybody's different.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I love doing crossword puzzles. That makes me happy. I love playing Scrabble. That makes me happy. I love painting and playing my guitar. That makes me happy. Now, what if there's somebody out there who doesn't like crossword puzzles? Scrabble is a stupid game. They can't paint, and playing guitar hurts their fingers. their path to happiness is not going to be mine. So when we
No.
talk about happiness, it's not like a formula that works for everybody. This is very individual, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very individual, and it even changes across the span of our lifetime as well. Because there's things that I know that I might have been happy about in my 20s, like partying and dancing and drinking and all that crazy stuff. And it doesn't really make me happy now. That's not what I want to do now. So we change. It's not just individually, but within ourselves, there's changes. And it can also change in the future too. So what makes me happy today, maybe in 5 years from now, I might find a bunch of other things that will replace um, that thing.
Absolutely. So we're constantly
Mm.
growing, we're constantly evolving, we're
Hmm.
evolving. Things that I probably used to hate before now make me happy as
Brussels sprouts.
as an adult, as part of growing. But they're but not what Brussels sprouts you
I
said?
said Brussels sprouts. Yeah,
Yeah. I used to hate the damn things. I used to
I know.
hate
And now
them.
you love them.
Now there's ways to cook them, and I'm constantly experimenting with them, and it's a good food. It's a good food. It makes me happy, makes my tummy happy. That
Yeah, it
wasn't
does.
always the case, but it's like this strange journey of connecting with our past, thinking about where we want to go, and looking at our present to bring all those things together to find the things that make us happy. I used to love
Amen.
getting dirty and playing in the mud. Now, if I have dirt under my fingernails, I don't want to leave the house. I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those guys. I can't stand it. Fingernails cannot be dirty. There cannot be things. And but when I was a kid, I mean, there is photographic evidence. My mom will back this up of me being covered head to toe in filth.
Oh, I love it.
And I had a glowing blonde hair, like glowing, like Dennis the Menace blonde. And when you get a
Wow.
black and white photo of a kid covered head to toe in mud, but this blonde glowing hair, it was quite a sight. Rolling around in mud would not make me happy today. However, running and sliding and playing in the rain does. So I
Yeah.
mean, we're always changing and stuff. Now, one of the problems we have too is that we get into situations that we think is going to make us happy, a job or a relationship. And then it doesn't fulfill that. Now we end up in that place that you and I talk about all the time, being stuck. So what do you do in those moments?
Sorry, you cut out again. What's going on?
My mom says I was an adorable piglet. I was
an adorable piglet.
Yes.
I'm going to call you Wilbur now. From Charlotte's Web. That's an adorable piglet.
Yeah, exactly. Mary Kath saying that we get into situations that we think are going to give us happiness, or that we think we're going to be happy in, and then we're not, and then we feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what are we, just floundering? I mean, do we just abandon what we're doing? I mean, that's really a tough position that we find a lot of people in, right?
No. Yeah, and whenever we find ourselves at this heightened feeling of, oh my God, I'm stuck, or oh my God, what am I going to do? Or I can't get out of this thing, or I hate my job. You know what I'm going to say? Congratulations. You noticed. So now you know something needs to change, right? It's not going to be an overnight thing. And let's do another inventory. I mean, stores do inventory quarterly or every year. And I'm sorry, I don't know too much about the retail, but they take inventory. And they take inventory so that they can plan, so that they can, I think, do taxes, things like that. We can do the same thing when we feel stuck, or even on some other regular basis that's not triggered by issues or challenges or stuckness. We can take some inventory, and in a couple minutes we can talk about those exercises that will help people do some of that inventory, get clear on the things that add to your happiness and elevate your mood, and we'll go from there.
I like that a lot, taking an inventory, because there's certainly, in recovery, there's a big part of taking an inventory of yourselves to find out what parts of you that you should really embrace and realize you're not all bad. but then realize we've got defects and different things that we need to let go of and adopt new ideas and new attitudes. And you're right. It's like being in a store. It's like, I thought it was a good idea to buy the Donald Trump Chia Pets. Turns out nobody's buying them. Now I got to get rid of them. They're not working anymore. I got to find something else to put in their place. Same thing in our lives. Sometimes we're going to look at things and say, I've adopted all of this, but it's not serving me. So maybe it's time to make some decisions to do something different. But almost never, and I want to make sure we make this clear, almost never is everything a complete washout, is everything a complete failure. Even in
There's
relationships.
Always lessons. There's lessons.
Even in relationships, you could be in a relationship with somebody for months or years, and then it's just not giving you what you need. It's not working out. But does that mean every piece of that relationship is damaged or bad? No.
Right.
You're just not getting certain needs from that. It doesn't mean you need to stay in a relationship, but it doesn't mean you throw everything away. You have to do a complete inventory. Learning about you is the path to happiness. Karen Miller's saying hello. Good evening,
Karen. Thank you. That's one of my friends. Yeah.
There we go. We got friends coming in.
Beautiful. I love it. So can we talk about the benefits of why it's good to know your happiness influences, let's say?
Yes. Let's do that.
Okay. Let's do that. So, I mean, knowing the things that make you happy, then you can go off and do more of them, right? I think that's kind of obvious.
Yes.
It can improve your health. It can improve your immunity. And disclaimer, Scott and I are not medical professionals. So, we're not intending this as medical advice, and consult with your doctor, please.
Yes.
Self-care, it's part of self-care. It feels good, right? Something that feels good in a healthy way. It can also open up your world when you're in a happy state. And for me, that includes peaceful. So a peaceful state for me is a happy state. It's a great state to receive other things, be open to other things. It's also a stress reliever. And it's also a really great position from which to make decisions. So if you're making decisions, if you're really, really, really stressed, it's better to not be stressed and have some of that happiness thing going on for you, whether it's doing something that's happy or listening to music or whatever it is. So there are some benefits, and it even lowers your blood pressure too. I mean, take your blood pressure and then do something that makes you happy.
Right.
And then a couple of minutes later, take your blood pressure again. I have a Fitbit, so it shows my heart rate, not my blood pressure. But you can do some of these measurements, and you can do them under medical care as well.
When you're happy, you're building endorphins, you're building dopamine, you're building the chemistry, the feel-good chemistry of the brain. I like the point you made, Mary, about your choices. How many people stand there and look at choices in their life and scratch their head and have no idea what they should do? It could be something as simple as, where would you like to go for dinner? Well, I don't know. You don't even know yourself enough to analyze, take a moment and figure out, what would I like? Instead of taking that deep dive inside, we're too busy looking at all the menus saying, I don't know. And we're stuck. When you know what you're like, or what you like, it's so much easier to make those decisions. If I know for a fact I like this, and I say, well, I want to go have that. Or I like this activity. So when there's nothing to do on Saturday, it's not like I got to sit around and scratch my head. I love doing A, B, C, and D. I could do any one of those things. My choices become clearer and easier in my life. When you don't even know what you like, you end up scratching your head, and then decisions become hard, because then you start this stuff like, well, what if I don't like it? What if it's boring? What if it sucks? Well, if you don't want to be boring, then figure out what you like, and you never will be boring. If you don't want to be
in advance, right? But I think go with feeling too. So, if you are trying to figure out where to go for dinner, or trying to figure out what's on the menu, just ask yourself, okay, what do I feel like? Like, what does
Yes.
my taste buds might want? What would that feel like? Or how, I mean, even some people make serious decisions by what does it feel like? And by that I mean thinking about their intuition. If they're really good with their intuition, they just, bring it to a spiritual level, close their eyes and actually look at those three options and go, okay, which one actually feels good? And they test each one for feeling. And that is one technique to
Even
find out if this thing, yeah.
even checking yourself for your adventure level for the day. Do I feel like being
Yeah.
adventurous?
Yeah.
Now I can go to the new, it's a fusion Italian, Thai, and Jamaican restaurant. I
Ooh,
could
sounds
go,
good.
yeah, I just, whatever it is. I could go there and it could be ridiculously bad or so good it's unbelievable. Am I feeling adventurous today? Not really feeling adventurous? Then I'm going to do something that I feel comfortable with and happy with. But sometimes
Yeah.
we want adventure. Sometimes it's like, I really want to try something new. Guys,
Yeah.
it's all about listening to your inner self and being in tune with that. Karen Miller shares with us, I love peace and quiet and recently have taken up adult coloring. Okay, I think she's talking about adults who color in coloring books. She does
Yeah.
not run around and paint adults because you can get in trouble for that.
I don't know. Maybe
Okay,
she does.
it puts me in a Zen mood and takes away the pain from her back. She has back pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many times, and again, we're not medical professionals, but I'm going to tell you something. If you're sitting around focusing on your pain is worse
Hmm.
than if you create a focus that's outside of your pain.
Yeah. What you
Um,
focus on can grow. It really can.
yeah. And coloring for adults, Mary Kay, I don't know about you, but I love coloring in coloring books.
I don't,
I
I,
absolutely love it.
I doodle with colored Crayola markers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's my thing. Doodling is my thing.
I prefer artist pens, and I try to recreate
Oh,
comic book covers and things like that. And
wow.
I like to be very detailed. I mean, I'm not going to do like a Mickey Mouse coloring because to me that's too big. I like little fine details and stuff. So I'll even seek out. You could find artist renderings of comic book covers, Superman and Batman, or whatever it might be. And then I would take
Wow.
that rendering, black and white rendering, and I would color it in myself and create that cover. And it's so relaxing. I
Yeah.
remember I used to keep coloring books in colored pencils. And sometimes, my kids would get in. I'm like, don't touch those. Those are dad's. Don't touch those.
That's my box of crayons.
And she's agreeing. Yes, it is adult coloring book. She's not
Yeah.
running around coloring adults. Oh my God, we're going to have all of our listeners out there with crayons saying, this makes me happy, and
But
writing on people's.
that could be fun. And you know what? There are some cultures that do that during certain celebrations. They have colored paint dust, and for that celebration, you get
Yes.
yourself covered in it, and it's part of the fun, right? It's part of the fun, and it's part of the respect for those traditions and those rituals.
Well, here in America, we have the same thing, but we call it paintball and turn it into
Oh
war.
yeah.
What is a beautiful
Ouch.
spiritual thing in any other part of the country, we turn it into a war game here.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Paintball hurts, but it's fine.
She has no artistic talent, but she's more into poetry. Mary Kay, you do a lot of
Ooh.
writing. How therapeutic is that for you, and how much does that connect you to yourself and your happiness? Your writing.
Oh my God. My writing definitely does, but I recently wrote a poem for first time in 35 years,
Yes, you
and
did.
that
Yes.
was cathartic. Oh my God, just getting that out of me was amazing. So, Judy, we want to read your poems, right? I'm just saying, putting her
Yes.
on the spot now. We want
You
to
know
see
what,
some of your poems.
Judy, if you'd like to share them, you can message
Yeah.
us, and we won't share them with anybody else if you'd like to share that with us. Part
Yeah.
of the thing about doing some of these things, understand art. Listen, I can go to the Louvre, which is the art museum of the world, or the New York Museum of New York Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art. I could go in there and I could find about 90% of the things in there I think are total crap. To me, they mean nothing, but it's art and it's subjective. So if
Yeah.
I paint something or write something and I share it with people, and 9 out of 10 people say, I don't get it. I don't get it. That's art. That's art.
Yeah,
Art is not
exactly.
meant to light up everybody. It's meant to light up a few, but more importantly, a self-expression, getting something out of ourselves, right?
And what we see in it, because I know I'm out sometimes and I might see this dilapidated old tree, um, and I'll just stare at it and look at what's beautiful about it. Whereas somebody might walk by it and say, "Oh, that's just a dead tree."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at all the parts that are dried up and making a pattern, and I'll probably take a picture of the pattern and
Right.
all that stuff. So
Uh,
yeah, subjective, subjective.
so Karen says, coloring Magic Garden it's so intense. Okay. Judy's going to share some poetry with us.
Good.
Check out Curable for ways to explore an entirely different approach to pain. CurableHealth.com. Okay. Arlene will check that
Mm,
out. Thank you for sharing
thank
that.
you.
Karen says you're a brilliant writer.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Thank you.
And Arlene says, my paintings are awesome. So we've got our fan base right here. We're all
Yeah,
set.
we do.
We're all
It's perfect audience. I love it. I love it.
Judy did include a link. So we're not going to look that up live on the air, but she did include a link so we can look up
Thanks.
your poetry. And thank you, Judy. We will look at
Thank
those
you.
up
Thank you.
and look at those. But we're not doing it live on the air. It messes up the program that we're using for if I try to go and seek those out while
Yeah,
we're on the air.
don't
I don't want to
touch.
knock us off the air, but we definitely thank you for sharing it. We will take a look at those, and then we'll certainly be talking to you. So we're talking about finding like creative stuff and doing that, but there's so many different things out there that we can do to find that happiness within ourselves and express ours. I think self-expression is the greatest form of happiness, wouldn't you say?
I I think so too. And yeah, and sometimes we don't come to that permission to do that until we're in midlife. That's what I
Right.
found. I wasn't able to fully express myself or even find my voice until first my 40s. I know you're like just you got enough voice, girl. Um but yeah, until the pandemic, I started writing. That was the first way of turning up the volume a little bit on my voice. And then I got onto Clubhouse and met our mutual friend Christopher Rausch, and he he directly helped me find my voice. And who'd have thunk it? A year later, I'm here doing a podcast with you, the master of podcasts himself. Like,
I
wow.
I think what will really bring us around is sometime in the very near future we have Chris Roush on with us. Christopher Roush is the no excuses coach. He helps people, but it doesn't put up with the whiny no I can't kind of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, there is no excuse. If you want to change, you change. If you want a better life, you make a better life. If you want to do something, because he's had to do that for himself. Brilliant. We're going to have him on the show.
Yeah,
Mary Kay and I
definitely.
both love him. He operates out of California. We're going to work this out, but he
Yeah.
has a great show. So we'll be sharing his information as well when we have him on. So, but yeah, I mean, there's so many things. Being okay with
What
being you is
yes.
really kind of where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Whatever I create, whatever I think, whatever I feel is okay. It doesn't have to. I think we fall into this thing where we think about, well, what should I choose? Not what do I want to choose? What should I
Mm-hmm.
choose? How should I act? Not how do I feel, but how should I act?
Yeah.
What job should I do? Not what job do I want to do? And, I equate it to everybody at a party, and you got a whole neighborhood together, and it's a kids' party, and they got this really big bouncy house. And
I'm in.
all the adults are standing over on one side, whether they're drinking beer or drinking coffee, depending on the kind of party you're at.
Yeah.
My parties, it's coffee. Um, and all the adults are standing there talking about their jobs and their bills and the grocery store and gas prices and politics or whatever else. And all the children are across the lawn in this bouncy house, just bouncing the shit out of each other, just going everywhere. And all I'm thinking in my heart of hearts is I want to be in that bouncy house.
Then go.
I want to be bouncing those little ankle biting bastards everywhere. I want to be jumping up and down and having a blast. That's what I really want. But instead, I shut all of it down and I stand there and talk about health insurance.
Mm.
It's so restraining what we do. Now, it doesn't mean you get to have fun every moment of your life. You get to go out and just do what you want when you want.
Mm-hmm.
But there are opportunities when maybe we need to listen to our inner selves and stop listening to that framework of what we're supposed to be. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense to me, and I agree. If we can just let go of some of those expectations that we think other people have of us, or that we know other people have of us,
or that we assign to ourselves,
and I think, yeah, that's a key one too, Scott. Assigning them to ourselves. We don't have to. And if I want to go climb a tree or hug a tree, which I do, and I think, people see me with my big camera, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to hug this tree, and people look at me, and I'm like, I don't care. It feels good. I'm going to do it.
I tell you, it's my favorite picture of you. You posted it somewhere where we were joking about hugging trees and hugging nature person. And you had this picture of you hugging this humongous tree.
Yeah. I mean, and I have several. Huge. I have several pictures of hugging trees, because if I'm hugging trees, one of my hiking friends for sure will always take a picture of me, even when I'm not looking.
Judy says, I'm always in the bouncy house. Kick the kids out.
I love it. Oh, she's like, kick them out even.
You know what? We make all the kids stand over there on the side drinking coffee, talking about, oh, daycare was such a pain in the ass today, My juice box was just not tasty. And let them talk about their problems. And all of us adults should be in there bouncing around and having a blast. Maybe that would loosen us up a little bit.
Feels good. Yeah.
So here's a question, actually, we should answer, because we're right there.
Okay.
So where do those beliefs in how we should look or act come from? Where do they come from? And do you not think that they start from reactions of other people? So that's it. Like, where do they come from? And I guess there's different answers to this. And how much of that is coming from how people react to us? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. So where do they come from? Okay. They come like, a snowball rolling in the snow throughout our lives. So they may start, they're probably going to start in childhood. Maybe somebody made fun of my hair, which did happen. And I think, Judy, you hit on that too, the reactions of other people, because we'll do something, there's a reaction, that's a new bit of information in our brain, and all of a sudden it breaks the pattern of us being happy doing that thing. So the next time we want to do it, we might think of that person's reaction and not do it. And it's part of our conditioning, and it's part of our encoding, like the things that come at us. We adopt some, we encode some, and it lays tracks like a train, right? The train is going to go on the tracks that you lay, and the only way to get out of that is to lay new tracks. And that's partly what our show is about here, right? Is giving people new tracks and new railway ties, and maybe a switch here and a switch there, and maybe it's going to be a zigzag track that we're going to build together.
Absolutely. That is well put.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Scott?
Well put. I mean, I think this starts from the very beginning. I've often said, I think I've said it on other shows, so forgive the repetitive nature of this, but I believe in this wholeheartedly. We're born into this world, and we were assigned a position in this world by our families, our parents, and our environment. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even though each child is an individual, and they certainly have their own little quirks and their little fancies and everything else, for the most part, we have to fill the role of whatever our family unit gives us. And so that's how we act in this family. If you're in a loud family, you become a louder person. If you're in a quiet family, you become a quieter person. A playful family, you might be playful. A serious family, you might be very serious and studious, or whatever it might be. So we, all of a sudden, right from the beginning, we're looking to others to decide how we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And then as you move on and you move out of the home, and maybe you move into college or just straight out into the working world, all of a sudden now we're in our 20s, our late teens, early 20s, and we're like, okay, now I get to be what I want to be. But we're still basing that on what TV tells us we should be, what our friends are doing, what is popular in music and popular in clothing and popular everywhere. And we fall, and we're still kind of sheep to the society around us. But we start to like make a few more choices. I might have the ability to say, I'm going to hang out with the rock and rollers, or I'm going to hang out with the hip hop people, or I'm going to hang out with this. But we're still falling into these groups. We're just defining our groups a little bit more. And we do that for a while. And then we get into our late 20s and early 30s, and we start thinking about long term and making money and doing things like that. So now we're looking at the trends and everything else for what should I become so that I can be a success. And then there's and what?
I was going to say, and we kind of start running on autopilot, right? When we've got all those other things that we're going after, and even the things that from our upbringing, they're in our backpack, right?
Yeah,
we're bringing those things with us on top of these other things and trends and keeping up with the Joneses. I had to say that, sorry.
We are like Jacob Marley, dragging chains and things behind us as we walk through life. All of our past sins, all of our past indiscretions, and even our past successes. We're dragging all that.
Yeah.
Here's the big caveat, though. When you get into your 40s, that's when you start looking around and saying, I'm married, I got 2 kids, I've been a CPA for the last 15 years, and I hate being a CPA. I don't like living in this house. I don't like I don't even know what I like to do anymore. I'm miserable. You know, and you could have on paper, have everything you want, but you never found you. So one of the reasons this show is so important for me, and certainly for Mary Kay, and we talk about this on air and off the air, how important this is that you have to start at some point to discover yourself. And for most people, it is later in life when you truly discover who you are. Most teenagers or 20-year-olds or even 30-year-olds aren't in a position to do that yet. Because they're still trying to fit into something. So the answer, Judy, to your question, where do these beliefs come from? Everywhere. Everywhere. And the reactions of other people are those are confirmations. That's what that is. If somebody groans when I tell a joke, now I'm not funny. It's a confirmation that I'm not funny. If I draw a picture and somebody makes a face at it, I suck as an artist. It's a confirm. We keep using those as confirmations instead of looking through our own lenses and our own eyes and our own hearts and looking at it and giving ourselves the confirmation we need that this is exactly what it's supposed to be. What I drew is exactly what I can draw. It's exactly what I was supposed to draw. And it is perfect the way it is. Too touchy-feely?
Touchy, no, I love, you know me, I love touchy-feely. Oh my goodness, we can get right in there.
We have another comment from my mom. She says, we think we should be perfect when in fact we learn more from mistakes and making messes. Perfect, right?
Yeah, I think it's always, for me, it's not always, because it always hasn't been that way. It's progress over perfection. It's better. That's what our show, Between All or Nothing, the all is the perfection and the nothing is doing nothing. But the progress is the in-between stuff. And there's pleasure in the progress. There's pleasure in the process.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, and our mistakes, of course, and lessons can definitely inform us. But we don't need to be perfect. Nobody needs to be perfect. We are perfectly imperfect.
Have you ever had a perfect friend? Somebody who's never, ever, ever wrong? Have you met those people? They are horrible.
I know lots of people who are never wrong.
They are horrific human beings to be around. People who are never wrong. It is the most annoying thing in the world. You want to be perfect? The only way you can achieve that, be completely alone and don't challenge anybody about anything ever. Just be perfect on your own. I am the fastest runner on the planet. As long as I never have to step my toe on the line of a real race, I am the funniest guy in the world as long as I never have to tell a joke in front of other people. I am all of those things. I could be perfect, but perfect is perfect isolation. If you're going to be out in the real world with people, we're going to bump into each other. We're going to fall down. We're going to slip on a banana peel. And
Yeah.
guess what?
Yeah.
From each one of those experiences, we gain something. Maybe we gain a moment of laughter. Maybe we gain a moment of maybe we stub our toe. Because if I don't stub my toe every once in a while, I'll forget how important it is not to stub my toe and to feel good. Once in a while, I got to have darkness so I can appreciate the light. Sometimes I got to make mistakes so that when I do things right, I can celebrate. It's all good. Everything is groovy and gravy, people.
And those are great points, Scott and Sandy. Thank you for that comment, because I think, yeah, you hit it right on the head there. And perfection is not something we need to be striving
perfection
for.
Is not happiness. People think perfection is happiness. It's not. Happiness is completely imperfect.
Completely. And it's a little bit of work. I think now is a good time to go into a couple of the exercises that we were going to talk about.
I think that would be brilliant. Let's do that. Which one?
Brilliant.
What do you want to start with?
So let's talk about the timeline exercise, because we've already brought it up in the context of knowing yourself and knowing the things that you were good at maybe in your past. And the timeline exercise this time is so that you can go back in time to think about the things that you did or happened for you that made you happy, that made you feel happy. And you do it in increments. So you can do it from age 0 to 5, if you can remember those years, from 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, and so on, and so on, and so on. And make a list of all those things. And then look at them and think about, okay, I used to love being the captain of the baseball team, for example. Okay, maybe you don't want to do that now, but is there something within that position or that activity that would now make you happy? Maybe you want to go and join a local club and do some other sports activity. Maybe you don't want to be the captain, or maybe you want to lead a team of youth or little kids in soccer practice or something like that. So that's the timeline activity.
Sometimes it's as simple as maybe you want to spend a little more time in remembrance of some of those good moments.
Yeah.
And maybe share them with others.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to relive it, but just by sharing it. One of the things you can do during these exercises like this is take a specific moment. And everybody could do this right now as we're sitting here. Just take one moment that you can remember from your childhood or your young adulthood that was happiness-based. A vacation with family, or a school trip, or a moment on stage. That always, one of the things that always brings me back was the first time that I performed on stage. And I remember that feeling. And when I sit and I think, I just want you to think about it for 30 seconds. Just bring it to mind and think about that moment. And do you feel a physical reaction when you do that? Do you notice that you actually start to smile a little bit? Do you notice that you feel a warmth up inside you? What does that show you? It shows you that the happiness that you've built in your life is still with you. We just forget to bring it up. We just forget to bring that to the surface. We spend so much time burying it under our failures and our mistakes and our dislikes that we forget to just take a moment of reflection to say, I've had some wonderful moments and I'm going to have many, many more. And even right now, just thinking about those old moments creates a new moment for me. It's a beautiful thing. And as you do that, you start to build a resume of these things, like Mary Kay was saying. And all of a sudden you start looking back and you're saying, to quote the movie, it's a wonderful life. Look at all the things we've done. Right?
Yeah. Look at all the things we've done. And it's just a great thing to write these things down or capture them in pictures. If you've got pictures of some of those moments.
Yes.
Ron, breathe in.
Breathe in, breathe out. Always good advice.
Oh, I totally agree. Thanks, Rod, for that.
Ron, awesome. I'm going to tell you right now, any activity that you do is always benefited by breathing. So just a little bit of advice there. Thanks, Ron, for joining us.
Absolutely.
Karen says, great idea, Mary. She loves your idea about doing that.
Oh, thank you, Karen. We can do that together, too, if you want to do that. I'm totally in. Next time we see each other, we should do that. Now, we have another exercise as well. So that one was past based. this other exercise is present and future based, right?
Okay. All right.
So it's, so what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I'm agreeing with you. I
Oh,
was
okay.
grabbing the
Okay.
list so I could keep up with where you are.
So now I want to talk about the exercise that I call the all you can eat buffet. So life, there are so many experiences out there. I mean, if you go on an app called Meetup, there's a million events happening locally, across the country, down in the US. There's tons of things. So it's about um, experimenting and finding new things to try. So maybe I want to try a painting class, a night paint class at the local club here. And once you find something, ask yourself some questions. So ask yourself, does this energize me? Does this make me feel good? Is there uh like, does it feel easy to me? Was that something I could get used to? And if you start checking off a lot of those boxes, then good. Throw that new activity on your list. And if you've got room for more, just keep experimenting. Go to the buffet, try different things, and life's buffet, I mean. Or I mean, you can go to that buffet that you were talking about earlier, Scott, with all those fusion flavors. And
Yes. Yes.
experimentation, I think, um, is just really within all of us. We have that ability and power, and the power of choice.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Scan the buffet, people. Scan the buffet.
Scan.
Don't grab the first thing in the buffet because they put all the carbs in the front and all the good
Yeah.
food in the back. If you eat all the carbs, you won't get down because you know what happens? You fill your plate up with everything else. You get to the end and you realize they've got bacon and crab legs. And you're like, that's all I really want. But I've already put pasta on my plate.
Oh.
Watch for what you're doing. Teresa's with us tonight. Teresa's from my
Hi,
ex's
Therese.
podcast, and I would love to have her on as a guest sometime soon too.
Yeah.
Happy to move on from the past. Let's plan a future. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. That's quotable. That's quotable, Therese.
I like that. We're gonna have to put that into our little montage there.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to for a moment. I'm going to pop something up on the screen, so we're going to be kind of somewhat obstructed here. But this is a list, and this is about.
I'll move this way. There we go.
Choose happiness. There we go. So I just got to move over this way. Hey, look at this. This works so good. Choose happiness. And what does that mean? It means, one, be authentic. If you are not being true to yourself and who you are, your happiness is a falsehood. Yeah. You can't pretend to be something and then be happy in that. If you're pretending to be somebody, you're pretending to be happy. You have to.
Doesn't feel good.
Yeah, learn the power of now. Mary Kay was just touching on some of that. Be in your moment. Be in your moment wherever you are right now, and know that wherever you are, everything you've done in your life has led you to this moment. So there's got to be a reason. And everything you're going to do from now on is going to move you in a different direction. But be where you are right now. Be realistic. Number 3, be realistic. Listen, I want to walk on the moon. That would make me very happy, okay? It doesn't mean I'm going to get up and wake up tomorrow morning on the freaking moon. Be realistic. Know that I have to work for things. You mentioned that, Mary, that you've got to work for some of this.
Mm-hmm.
Know that it requires work. Be realistic.
Yep.
Know your priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not on your own priority list, there's a problem right there. So many people have priorities. And I say, well, what about your self-care? What about your happiness? Is that not a priority in your life? If it's not, you got a problem. Learn to let go.
Yeah.
Letting go is not forgetting your past. Letting go means stop carrying it like it's still happening. Carry the lessons, don't carry the mess.
And the feelings.
Yes. And other people, the way they put it is carry the message, not the mess. So the message of my past, I want to carry with me, but I don't want to carry all the mess with me.
And then address the mess. Address the mess.
Exactly. Address the mess.
Yeah.
Control your options. If you know what you like in your life, your options become open and you feel like you're in control. When you don't know what to choose, that's when you get that out of control feeling, that feeling like I'm not in control and everybody's manipulating me. And it's because you don't have enough information about you to make intelligent choices that bring you to your happiness.
Yeah, I agree with
Be
that.
grateful. Be grateful. Sometimes the word grateful and gratitude gets tossed around and it becomes bastardized a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Being grateful is not just about, oh, I'm so glad there's a tree. It's about finding value in your life. I am grateful for my kids, but for a long time I did not value them the way I should have. Being grateful means that I value them, that they are in a hierarchy in my head, in my heart, in my spirit, in my soul as being important and valuable. And once you have value in your life, you're heading in the right direction. Celebrate along the way. Everything you do is worth a celebration. Everything you do. And if you don't believe me, look at anybody who's had a baby and follow them on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because they think everything is a celebration.
Yeah.
Little Timmy pooped for the first time. Let's take 12 pictures and put it online. Oh, little Timmy, look at he right?
I used to call my mom, he did, he pooped.
We used to celebrate everything. And then we get older, we don't celebrate anything. Celebrate silly things, celebrate big things. But most
that's so true. And somebody, our mutual friend Rex Sykes, that's his trademark, right? Celebrate everything. And I love that. And if you're not following Rex Sykes, go rexsykes.com.
Yes,
go find him. Follow him. I'm just saying that to our audience because he's wonderful. And I go into his room almost every day and it fills me up. It fills my cup.
Rex has a brilliant book out. You have to pick it up, but check him out, rexsykes.com.
Brilliant.
He also joins me on Tuesday nights on As We See It.
Yeah.
With Lynn Serrano and myself. Let's see. Celebrate along the way. Give to others. Every show I end with the same message. Do one thing nice for someone else. Do two things nice for yourself. You'll never have a bad day. Always be willing to give to others. Because our ability to be a part of humanity is to be connected to humanity and give. That's how you're connected to humanity, is by giving, not by taking. Mm-hmm. And invest in you. Now, Mary Kay, you talked about investments, and people are like, oh, I can't change my life. I'm so invested in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They're invested in everything but themselves, aren't they?
Well, in some cases, yes. In some cases, they were invested in themselves when they chose that particular thing. So maybe when they chose that profession, let me get back in the middle. They're different people from when you first invested. So to me, I look at it as, okay, well, now it's time to let go of that investment and let's chart out a new investment and a new way of getting you into what you want with the person you are now, not the person you were back then. Because hanging on to something that's no longer working for you, you already said it, the things that no longer serve you, that's a recipe for heartache and a whole bunch of other things, including physical illness, for sure. And that was your list, right? That you put up, Scott?
Yes. Yeah, that was my list.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, mine is very much the same. And I would encourage our audience here today, make your own list of 10 things. What does happiness mean to you? And put that up somewhere on the fridge or on your bathroom mirror or somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Not on your windshield, though, okay? Please don't do that. That's probably not a good idea. But somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen,
so that was a great list.
This is your life, your design.
Yeah.
There are times in our lives when, yes, we have to toe the line. We have to fulfill certain expectations. We have to do certain things. We have responsibilities. That is certainly the case. But the life between all or nothing is about those moments in between everything. Those moments when you get home from work and you have 10 minutes to yourself, what do you do with it? Do you take those 10 minutes and waste it? Because if you waste 10 minutes every day,
you put on a pink feather boa. That's what you do. Look.
Let me tell you something. If you live 70 years, you're 70 years old, 10 years of your life, 10 full years of your life were lived on a Monday. Now, if you are so hell-bent on making sure every Monday is a miserable Monday because it's Monday morning and I have to go back to work. And there's a lot of people out there that do it. Oh, yeah, it's Monday. Mondays suck. I make jokes about Monday. I don't want to get
I
moving.
love
And yeah,
Monday.
sometimes it's harder to get started, but I don't make Monday a bad day, but some people do. So now you've become 70 years old. You've wasted 10 full years of your life, 10 full years of your
Miserable.
life being miserable by choice
Yikes.
because it's a Monday. Just think about that. Just the idea that I spent 10 years of my life on a Monday is ridiculous.
But you also spend 10 years on a Friday and a Saturday and a
That is
Sunday.
correct. But
If you're
those aren't as
if you're 70, that is.
yeah, if you're 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So just think about that. Choose happiness.
Yeah, choose,
Um,
and that's a really good point, Scott. Choosing happiness, because up until now we've talked about things, we've talked about external factors, and both you and I have talked about this before. Like, you need to bring the happy, you need to bring the joy to everything. And that's why I said, and when people tell me they hate their jobs, I say, great, congratulations, that's awesome, because you should have some joy in the fact that you know that you don't want to do these things. It may take you 4, 5, 6 months to get into a new job, but what are you going to do in between? Am I going to be miserable until I'm able to leave that job? No. You need to bring the happy, bring the joy into every day, because the external stuff that you pick, maybe you can't golf anymore. Maybe you can't paint anymore. Maybe there's arthritis. Maybe there's tons of things could take away those things that you've decided that you're going to do that are external things. And like, I have an example. I learned something recently, about a year ago, maybe less than a year ago. There's a local coffee shop that I go to, and there's a homeless man there. His name is Grega. He's about, I think he's mid 40s. There's a little bit of a language barrier between us, but we get to talk. And many times I'd be in the drive-through and he would walk up and he would be asking people, to help him get a coffee and buy him a coffee as they're going through the drive-through. Many people rolled up their window to him, but why? So I bought him a coffee many times, as other people did in my neighborhood. And one day I went there and I got out of my car to go get a coffee. And he comes running up to me and I'm like, hey, Grega, what do you want? What can I get you? He says, oh, I want to buy you a coffee. That's what I want to do. And he starts giving me money. And I said, no, why are you giving me money? And he says that, well, I'm not allowed to go into this coffee shop. And I was like, bullshit. You're coming with me. If you want to buy me a coffee, we are going in together and we'll see what the staff or the managers say. He was so happy just to
wow.
have the dignity of being able to be allowed in the store. And the management didn't actually say anything. A little bit of a dirty look.
Yeah.
But as we're there and we're bantering a little bit longer than usual, because usually I buy him a coffee and I meet him at the end of the drive-through, and that was it. He's a happy guy, but he has nothing. He lives in the dumpster in the parking lot. That's where he lives. He has nothing. And he's still kind to people. He still smiles at people, engages them and talks to them. And I think, like, there's a huge lesson there, in that happiness comes from within us, and we can pepper it on everything during our day, no matter what it is or whatever we're going through.
It is absolutely a testament to, if you can strip away all the outer stuff that we bother ourselves with on a daily
Yeah,
basis, and all you're left with is you got two choices. You can be miserable and hate yourself, or you can embrace yourself and love yourself and be happy. And it's much easier to make that choice when not everything else is going on around you. We bury
yeah,
ourselves under things. Oh, I want to be happy, but I'm too responsible. I can't. I've got work to do and I've got things to do. I mean, what Karen says here is celebrate every morning you wake up and get to have another
exactly.
day.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
celebrate that, even if it's just taking one moment and doing, woohoo, I get to live today. Just to start anything like that. There's so many different things that people can do. Um, let me see, classic Mary Kay, example of her giving back to the community. Yes.
But my community gives back to me too, right? Like that's all. We're all a community. The entire human race. We're a
You know what's
community.
neat? If you put yourself out there with kindness, you'll be amazed at what comes back to you.
Oh,
You'll be
for
amazed.
sure.
If you shut yourself off from others, let me tell you something. This right here, this cell phone was supposed to increase communication in the world. It was supposed to bring us closer together. It has done nothing but drive us apart. People will stand in line at the supermarket and look down and text instead of talking to the person next to them.
Yeah.
You know, people are so obsessed. I'm teaching a class, and God love all of everybody who comes to our classes, and Karen and I teach, and we say, okay, it's break time. As soon as we go on break, you think, hey, we got 30 people that can all get to know each other and talk. Everyone goes in a different corner of the room or outside, and they start playing on their phones, texting, calling, doing this, doing that. And if you just put it down and open yourself up and say, hey, anybody want to chit chat? One person comes over, and then another person comes over. But you got to start the process. You got to open yourself up to that.
Yeah,
And
somebody has to.
There's so much joy out there to be spread among people, and so many things you can do. I'm just saying that it's the journey to discover who you are, what makes you happy, and where you want to go with your life is the greatest journey you're ever going to take. You don't need a passport. You don't need a guide. All you need is the courage to look at you and the ability to enjoy what you find. That's all you need. And people,
well said, Scott. Well said.
I have spent the majority of my life hating who I am. I spent the majority of my life wishing I was somebody different. I spent a part of my life wishing I wasn't alive. I spent a lot of my life ashamed and guilty. And just because I've made mistakes, I've done some horrible things. But I've never, until this last part of my life, discovered the joy of living, the joy of being Scott Jones, the joy of having the people in my life that I have, and knowing how important it is to enjoy every bit of it that I can. I'm not happy every day. I'm in pain some days. I got sciatica right now. I can't even sit down. I got to stand up and do the podcast. But boy, I'm so damn glad I'm here and with all you great people, and of course with Mary Kay. This is a joy for me, and it's I wouldn't want to miss it. Don't close yourself off, people. We've made it this far. Now maybe it's time to start rewarding yourself a little bit for a life. Well, maybe it wasn't well lived, but at least it was lived. And now let's figure out how to make it well lived. Be happy for crying out loud. That's my closing thoughts. Anything from you, Mary Kay?
Wow. I think you just touched on something, coming this far. There's a quote that says, you didn't come this far to only come this far. Right?
Yeah.
There's more. There's more. And I don't know if that was a religious quote. I can't remember. And yeah, no matter what's going on, there's always something that you can find to be a happy moment in your life. When I attended a funeral a couple of years ago for my ex-father-in-law, so Jimmy's grandfather passed away. And, of course, my condolences, but I'm looking at my ex-mother-in-law and I'm thinking, this is very sad for her. And when she gets through her grieving, she's going to have her freedom. Finally, she's going to have her freedom to go to church and to meet up with her friends and do all those things. So that little nugget sort of kept me going, and things that I would talk to Jimmy about too. He just lost his grandfather, encouraging him to think of the happy memories that he had with him and the silly times that they had together, and him learning how to ride the riding lawnmower with grandpa. So we can always find something, and it doesn't mean don't feel the other feelings, right? If there's grief, there's grief. If there's sadness, there's sadness. Feel those feelings, feel through those feelings. But the more happy moments that you can put into your life, you'll just be a little bit more resilient and be able to get back to your set point of happiness and peace. And so those are my closing words. And also, I believe in you. I believe in you, Scott. I believe in everybody who's here today. I believe in everybody who's watching the replay. I believe in you, and you matter.
Karen Miller feels my pain, so I think I've got a sister sufferer of sciatica out there.
Yes.
We'll have to chat about it. I want to take one moment because we are at the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm not going to go through all the names because there's so many great people. And of course, Mary Kay, thank you. I do want to spend a special shout out to Therese. We do the X's podcast on every other Wednesday night. And of course, we've been friends forever. And, you know, we were in just the whole story is watch the show if you want the story. But I just want to send my love out to her and my family's love out to her in on this day, which is the anniversary of her passing of her mom. And I know your mom, Grace, was a grace in everyone's lives and an amazing woman and certainly one of the most unforgettable people I've ever experienced in my life. And she'll always be with all of us. So, Therese, our hearts go out to you and we all love you. So that's it for our show today. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week, and I don't know where we're going to go with it, but we'll let you know before the show starts. If you have any ideas, please reach out to us, right, Mary Kay?
Yes, please do. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We love you.
Fantastic. Remember, if you want to have a good day, I already gave you the secret. I'll give it to you one more time. Do one thing nice for somebody else. Do two things nice for yourself. You'll never have a bad day. God bless. You guys all take care.